Okay, thank you so much. We will going to start around 4 5. Let other people also join meanwhile, and let us connect around 4 5 only. Okay. Yeah, good evening, everyone. And I hope all of you are doing fine. Last time we have, had discussion regarding the basic of Python. We have covered the basic of Python. And this time we will going to cover some more like programs on conditional programming, as well as we will going to learn about the loops. But before starting with the session, I would request everyone, in case like in interest for the time or for having a smooth session, I would request everyone kindly, if you have any query, if you get any query in between the session, kindly mention in the chat box. My team is with me and they will going to resolve your queries. And at the end, we will be having a like the question answers round for 10 minutes, right? So that we can have a smooth flow of the session. This is the last session. We'll try to cover many programs as possible as, right? So before beginning with the new new concept or revision of the conditional programming, I would like to ask you a question like, uh, are you well versed with the variables and the simple operators that we had discussion last time, the assignment arithmetic operator? Is there any confusion, any problem, or are you okay to proceed further with the if programming or loop programming? I hope that concept is pretty much okay. We have covered with a lot of programs. We have done quiz also, right? Okay, got it. So we are pretty much, ready to proceed with the loops and like the conditional programming, right? Let me share my screen first and we'll, cover some more program on conditional programming. Then afterward, we'll start with the loops. Let's start. I hope the screen is visible to everyone. This is the shell mode, and we will going to work in the script mode. Let me open a file where I have already covered some programs. This could be, take as a sort of revision. Okay, I have, covered plenty numbers of like questions in order to, clear the concept crystal clear. So let us start with very small concept, small program. See, in our like conditional programming, what are the basically the main point is to create a program that is, depend on particular condition. To apply a condition, we need to use operator. Now, if we talk about the operator, we have covered like various categories of operator. Like, we have covered arithmetic operator. We have covered arithmetic operator basically are used to do calculation. You will get the result in the form of calculations solely. But when we talk about like the relational operator and the logical operator, you will always get the result in the form of true or false, like the Boolean result. Now, let us say if you need to compare two numbers, for example, there are two numbers, 5 is greater than 4, obviously it will evaluate to true, right? So basically, what are the significance of using relational and the logical operator? Basically, if we talk about the logical operator also, I'll come to that part also. Basically, these operators are used for apply condition when we use like the conditional statement like if, else, elif programming, or if we are using some kind of loop programming. Okay, so in that case, here is the significance of the like operator. You can see, for example, in the first program only, if you can see like we have to get the number from the user, right? I'll take this program. Okay. So in this, if you can see, I'm going to take a number from the user. In order to get the number from the user, we have to use the input function. But why we have added int here? I'm just trying to, take a revision side by side. Only just write your answer in the chat box so that it would be clear that whatever we have covered last time is, pretty much clear with all of you. So why we have used this int function? This is sort of revision also. Kindly mention your result in the chat box. We have taken input function to get the input from the user, but we have used in function. The what is the use of? Yes, to convert string input into the integer, because when we, with the help of input function, whatever you will get, it will going to convert, it will, it will come in the form of strings only, right? Now, if you want to use that value in calculations, right? So in that case, you have to convert that number into convert that number into properly number form, integer form. So yes, very nice. It is string by default and we cannot perform calculation. Absolutely right. So of course for typecasting. So now if you converting this number through using int function to numbers only, then you're ready to use this like number for a calculation part. But in our case here, like if we are trying, like if num is greater than 10, we are using if programming, we are just doing a comparison. If number is greater than 10, because 10 is also a number, right? We are comparing a number. So we are just trying to, evaluate a condition. If is a name of the like the keyword, if it's a keyword, of course, keyword are those words which cannot be used as a variable, because last time when we discussed about variable, we had this point also that we cannot use keyword as a variable, right? Similarly, this is a point what we need to clear. You cannot use if as a variable name, because already the definition of if is clearly defined, right? So if num is greater than 10, and you have to write this colon is very, very mandatory, right? Whether you are using a for loop, whether you are using a while, whether you are using like if programming, I mean, the statement which have some following statement, this is a syntax of Python programming. You have to write colon, right? If you miss this colon, definitely you will get an error. And of course, the indentation part. Why do we use indentation? Because we need to provide the thing that the following statement is a part of the above statement only, right? So here we are comparing, we are just using if. Whether the number is, if number is greater than 10, then it will going to print the value, right? But what about if the number is not greater than 10, right? Suppose if the user has entered 20, or sorry, if the number is less than 10, if the user has entered 5, it will not going to produce any output, right? It will not going to produce any output. Then we want a program to be dynamic. We want that it should produce at least one output. What could be done in this program only? If I want to extend this program, I want whether the number is less than 10 or greater than 10, it should produce some result. What else, what thing I can do? Yes, else statement. I can use else statement. So I will extend this program and I will use extend program, else program. Basically, let me show the result first. You have to save your program. It will not going to produce any result, right? Because I have entered number that is less than 10. Okay. You have to make sure the indentation should be correct, right? You have to take care of the indentation part, right? Colon is used to indicate the block statement. Of course, colon is used to indicate the block statement that you are using some statement. There would be some following statement that would be the part of that the above statement, because that is only we can say that here is a colon and there would be some subsequent statement that would be the part of that keyword, that statement only, right? So that is the main thing. And in case if we need to add more program to it, more condition to it, then we can use elif programming, right? I hope the concept of if else programming is pretty much clear with you. So shall we, I'll take one more program, then I'll start with the loops program. Okay, nice. Elif programming. Can you tell me what is happening here? Can you tell the name of the operators that we are using here? We have used elif programming, right? Yes, checking for multiple condition. And basically, we are using one operator also to check the condition. What is the name of that operator? Is equal to, right? You are checking for the equality because here we have two type of operator. This is used for assigning the value, and this operator used to check the equality, means whether this value, this variable contain one, right? To check, okay, you are just checking by using the is equal to operator whether day is equal to 2. The answer would be come in the form of true or false only. That is the main thing. Because if you say in the first line, we are saying that we are asking user to input one value from 1 to 7, okay? And whatever the value will become, it will change it to using the int function. Afterwards, it will compare the value using all this condition. For example, it will check whether day is equal to 1 or not. This will evaluate either in the form of true or false, because it will check the condition whether this variable contain one or not. Okay, if it is, then this block statement will going to produce Sunday. Otherwise, this it will check for the second, third, fourth, five. And the beauty of this program is that you can create as long program, or as you can give as many conditions you can, but at the same time, if the condition satisfy here only, it will not going to move to the subsequent statement. That is the main thing, right? Suppose if the day is equal to 1, it will produce Sunday, and the control of the program will not going to move here, right? That is the main thing, because that is the execution time. We can say the execution time of the program depends on the condition or the input of the user, right? Suppose if the user entered any number beyond 7, for example, the user entered 10, then it will check the entire conditions. Check for 1, check for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If it not, if it not going to get any input that is related to this, it will produce invalid day. Okay, that is the way the flow of program or control will move, right? So this is a program using elif, means through elif you're checking the condition by nesting multiple if condition, right? If day is 1, print Sunday, else if day is equal to, you're giving condition here also, right? So elif is user providing you more condition. Yes, a combination of else plus if, right? This is a combination of else plus if, right? And afterwards, when you're done providing your conditions, then at last you have to just mention that, okay, if it is not falling or coming under this domain or this conditions, then after we can simply say it is invalid, right? We are not providing any condition with else. We are saying invalid condition. Okay, invalid. So I hope the concept of if else, and if else, I think pretty much clear with all of you, right? Okay. Let's check if we have one more program. Mhm. Of course, we can take this. For example, you can create a program like this also. We always compare using two number, but what we have three numbers. There's different way. For example, if you have been three number and you have to find out the greatest one. Okay. So we have this method. You can take first of all, if you apply like the computational thinking, the first your topmost point is to get the three number from the user. The first initial point, you are sorted with this point that you have to get the value or input the value from the user. Afterwards, you can apply logic, right? So here you can say you have to take three input from the user, and then you can start comparing two numbers, right? For example, here you can see you have taken if block. If num1 is greater than num2, okay. Now you are using nested if else statement under if statement. Okay, you can see how it works. If num1 is greater than num2, first of all, you have taken the value of num1 and you have start comparing it with num2, right? Then you added the nested if statement. Now, once this statement is, evaluates to true, now you can move to the second nested if else statement. If num1 is greater than num3, because here you are pretty much sure if you can enter here this thing that num1 is greater than num2. This is sure. Okay. This point is clear. This point is true. Now you are comparing num1 with num3. Okay. Now if num1 is greater than num3, first number is greater. Of course, num1 is greater. Okay. As third number is greater, num3. You have to just think about the situation. For example, if num1 is greater than num2, this is pretty much clear. Num2 is less than num1. Here we are clear with this point. Now, here we are comparing num1 with num3 because we have done the comparison. We have sorted that num1 is greater than num2. Now we are comparing num1 with num3. If it is true, then it will say that first number is greater, means num1 is greater. But if it is not true, then it will print third number is greater, mean num3 is greater. Are you okay with this concept? I mean, this is clear what I'm trying to say here. Are you able to get the concept of the program? How we have done? We have, we need to check three numbers and we have to find the greatest among all, right? So basically what we have done, we have taken two number first. We have checked the first condition. Here, till here, we are sorted that if num1 is greater than num2, that means num1 is sorted with the thing that I am greater than num2. Now I have to compare with num3. Okay, I have to check myself with num3 because if it is clear, then only you are allowed to go inside this statement. Otherwise, this will be false here only and you will come to the else part. Okay, that is what you need to understand, right? Then, of course, you will going to compare num1 with num3. And if num1 is greater than num3, so that means it is, automatically, eventually it's going to produce a result. Of course, if we have already covered num1 is greater than num2. Now we have checked num1 is greater than num3. That means num1 is greater than num2 and num3 both. Okay, that means it is num1 and else like num3. Okay, so basically that is, and similarly, you can put the other condition in else part, right? If this condition is valid to false, if num1 is not greater than num2, then in else condition, the control of the condition, because if num1 is not greater than n2, this condition will evaluate to false. The control of the program will not go in here. Okay, the control of the program will come to else statement, else block, okay, and it will evaluate this condition. It will check this condition, whether if num2 is greater than num3, okay, num2 will print else. Again, we have else condition, third number is greater, okay. Very different way of programming, but yes, this approach can also produce a right result. So you can do programming. There are different method of doing, using the concept. You can use a logical operator also, where you have to use AND operator, OR operator, and NOT operator. Can anyone tell me what is the use of AND operator? Can anyone tell me how to use AND operator? What is the actual use of AND operator? Please mention in the chat. Relational operator, we already know, right? It is used to compare two number, right? To join more than like one condition. For example, if we have an expression, yes, yes, definitely. We get a true, only both are true, but in case of AND or operator, in case of AND or operator, a relational operator works with the two values, okay? And in order to need to join the expression, you need to find the result using the join operators. Then we have a AND, OR, and NOT operator, right? So basically, if you have two expression, for example, if you have given like we have a three variable and you are checking if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C, and in between you write AND, it will going to check both the expression, whether the expression one is true, whether the expression two is true, then it will check using the AND operator. And if both the condition true, the result will evaluate to true. Means in using AND operator demands that all the conditions should be true. Then only it will produce true result. Suppose if you have 9 or 10 conditions, suppose you have 10 conditions, different 10 conditions, then for that, you have to use, you have to make sure if you want to answer, you want to have the answer in true, then you have to check all the expression. And if any one of expression evaluate to false, then the entire expression would evaluate to false, right? The topmost, like the priority, the topmost requirement having a true value using the and operator means that all the expressions should be true. Now, on the contrary, if we talk about the OR operator, if any one of condition evaluated true, the entire result would come to be the true. Depending upon the situation, depending upon the condition, depending upon the requirement of your program, you can use these operator, right? And not basically is a complement of the given answer. If the answer is true, then it will turn out to be false. If the answer is false, it turn out to be true. Okay. Let me check if I have any one program using this logical operator. We have already covered. Let me show you one program only. The 20th June. 20th June. Let me show you first very small program. Okay, I think the screen is visible. We can take this program, okay, and we can check the result also. See, we have three numbers and we have taken three variable A, B, C. We have assigned value like 10, 10, minus 10, okay. Now we have to check the condition. If we are checking using the AND operator, right? If A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0, right? So basically here we are checking two conditions, and in order to have a right answer, we need to have both the condition true. So if A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0, the first condition is yes, then it will print the numbers are greater than 0. Okay. Another condition, if A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0 and C is greater than 0, the numbers are greater than 0. Okay, let me show you this like part only first, because I think because the only first part would be the condition would evaluate to true and it will produce the result first one only. Just let me show you the answer. The point is using conditional statement is that it will check the condition, and in case if it is satisfied by the first, satisfied by like first condition only or in first condition only, then the control of the program will not move to the subsequent blocks. The number are greater than 0. Okay. But here we have another statement. At least one number is not greater than 0. Why? Because we have used else also, right? If A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0, the number are greater than 0. But in else programming, we have written at least one number is not greater than 0 because you are using if two times and you have used else separately. This is some different sort of programming. We have not used if else, we have given two if conditions side by side, and afterward we have used else programming, right? We can see another more program, and I'll share a link with you regarding some programs in the chat box only, so that you can practice further with this type of programming, the operators. Because in like conditional programming, the important thing is using the operators only, right? You have to be very well versed with the operators, how the particular operators will evaluate to like the condition, because condition would be result in the form of true or false, right? So basically you must have a good knowledge of relation operator, like the logical operator. Then only you can well versed with this conditional and the loop programming. So I think we have covered the relational operator, we have covered the logical operator, and let's start with the loops. Okay. So basically when we talk about the loop, any idea what we understand by loops? There are three type of major programming construct sequence. When all the statement get executed, we have already covered the basic of Python. And when something, we need to provide flexibility to the program. We want some dynamic programming. We want that we have certain condition in the program, but based on certain condition, any one condition or like the condition get executed. If any condition satisfy the requirement of given conditions, right? Or any input from the user satisfy the condition of given conditions. But what about the loops? What is the significance of using loop? Why do we need loop programming? Of course, iteration repetition. There could be a certain condition when you need to iterate certain tasks, when you need to repeat certain tasks. And of course, this is one of the fundamental of programming. Loops help you in like, avoiding repetition tasks, right? So let me show you the significance first, okay? Okay, here's very basic program. See, this is a traditional way of using like Python programming. Suppose if we need to print Python 5 times, learning Python 5 times, okay? The basic thing people used to do, if we don't know about like the loops programming, we're going to repeat the set of statement. Okay, that's okay if you have a very like less requirement of doing iteration. For example, if you have given me some very less number, okay, 5 times. What about 50,000 times? You will not going to repeat or write this code 50,000 times. Of course, in order to use this, we can say we can use this for loop programming. Okay, whatever, see, this is a comment, right? You already know, we have covered last time. This is the comment that we used to give in like the Python if we don't want that particular statement to be executed by the compiler or the interpreter. Because you know what, sometime in our program we need to provide description, but at the same time we don't want that line of code to be executed by the interpreter or compiler. Basically, these statements are known as a comment used to describe the program. This is very small program, you can easily read out and you can understand easily. But like in like a when we create some industry level project, right? In that case, there are thousand line of codes. It wouldn't be easy for any other like the programmer to go through the entire code and get the meaning out of it. In that case, this documentation, although we used to create documentation also, but this comment provides some sort of explanation that what this code particularly used for, right? So basically, in order to enhance readability, in order to enhance like the understanding, we use this comment, right? They are single line comment, they are multiple line comment, right? So depending upon your requirement, you can use anyone. For example, here in this program, because if I'm not using for loop and I have to repeat this learning Python 5 times, then simply we can use this program. But of course, there's many limitation because if you're asked to print the statement 50,000 times, 60,000 times, or maybe more than that, you will not going to repeat this task again and again. Of course, so the solution of the problem that problem is we can use loops. Okay, this is a four block or four keyword. You can say this is a four keyword, and keyword cannot be used as a variable name because I'm repeating this thing again and again. You have to be very much because just I am recapitulation of that concept we have covered earlier, because we have covered that point that we cannot use keyword as a variable name, and these are the keyword we are talking about that have some special meaning in the compiler, right? In the like the interpreter compiler. So they will not going to accept that as a variable. They will have a great proper definition in their like system. So of course, here we are using for. For is like the keyword or the blocks, you can say statement. I is a variable. This is up to you. You can change the name of this variable, right? You cannot change for, but you can change the name of the variable I. You can take X or Y, right? So basically in is the operator that will going to check range. In range, we have like range is a function. We have provided the value inside it. This is this value. For example, we have given 5. Okay, let me tell you one more thing. Range function is used to create a range of value. For example, if I've written 5, it will going to create a range of value from 0 to 4. Okay. Now here we have 2 point. Why 0 and why 4? Because we have written 5. See, in Python, the indexing start with the 0 until or unless we can clearly specify here, though we have a option also. But by default, the indexing, the value would be start with the 0 only. And if I write 5, it will exclude the value of 5, means it will exclude the result of 5. Basically, it will start with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because, when we counting from 0, it will automatically lead you your desired output number of time. It will going to print 5 only. But here, you have to mention this upper bound would be excluded, right? This upper bound would be excluded. So, of course, it has a very, the for programming or see the loops programming, especially the for and while having a very great use in sequence and array, like to iterate the list of the number or to iterate the list of the sequence, number in the sequence. But here we are covering very basic concept of using for loop because that would be eventually easy for you to cover the next concept. Okay, so basically this is a very basic understanding of for loop I'm providing for I in range. Now, how this program will going to be work? First of all, I'll start with 0. Initially, the value inside the I variable is 0. This is a loop variable. I would be 0. Okay. Then it will check, okay, the range of value. It is less than the range of value. Then it can go this block. Okay, learning Python. But yes, again, once it get printed, the value of I will be increased because it will take another value. Suppose, the one more thing I must tell you. Uh, when we talk about the for loop and when we talk about the while loop basically evaluate using condition, right? And for loop works using range, right? Means you have to give some range of tasks that this is something you have to cover till this. That is automatically condition of false for loop that I have given 10, I have to print it by 10. That is my task, right? But when we work with the while loop, it works with the conditions, right? Okay, there's some conditions with the like while loop. There could certain condition then the value of I should be less than 10 or value of I should not be less than 10, right? So while vertically particularly work with the condition and it works with the range, means if the condition is if you have certain program where you need to print certain set of value and you have given range till here you have to get the value printed. I think 4 is best choice. Although you can do the same task using while loop, but if rather than condition, the focus is used to print the value by using the given range, then 4 is the best choice. But of course, if the focus is too much on the like condition, then you have to use the while loop. Okay, so let me tell you, it will take the value 0, it will print learning Python. Okay, again the value of I will get increased. the I would be 1. Okay, now it can go to the print statement. It will continue till the value of I become 5, because once it becomes 5, the it cannot extend 5. It will print 0 to 4. This statement will print 0 to 4 time, means 40 it will print learning Python. When the value of I is 0, it will print learning Python. When the value of I become 1, it will print learning Python. It will print till the value become like 4, and once it become 5, it will come out of the loop, because the range has because 5 will be excluded. It has already covered the range. It will be covered till 4. So basically, let me show you the result. So basically, it's showing the previous result also, because I have, uncommented that statements. Let me comment that. Although I can use multiple string also. Let me, okay. Okay, now it's showing you the learning pattern 5 times, and this is the result of your this program for iEnrich learning Python. Okay. Hello. Let me show you another program also. Okay, now we have a condition that we have to print the table of a number given by the user. We just want a user to give a number, and we will going to produce a table. Now you can see here, this line is pretty much okay. Okay, you're very comfortable now. You are very much clear what is the concept of using this file. We have declared a variable, okay, and tab and int input enter a value. For example, you're getting a number from the user, and after getting a number from the user, you are changing that number to the integer using the int function. Okay. Now in the second statement, the main magic will be going to start from here. The main logic, basically, 4 is a keyword, I is a variable, int range. Now we have given 3 values, 1, 11, 1. Can anyone know what are these 3 values? Because in the last program, we have taken only one parameter, one argument, but this time we are taking 3 parameters. Does anyone know what are the significance of these 3 parameters? Yes. Start, stop, step. Yes. The point is, these are the 3 parameters, but 2 are optional, means that this one and this one, depending upon your requirement. But this is very, very important. Stop. You have to tell the program when to get stop, right? That's why we always provide the range. By default, if you enter a single value, it will assume that you have provided the stop value, because you have to provide the stop when the program will going to be stopped. Now, I have already told you that program will always start, or this loop or the variable, this I variable will going to hold a value 0 by default. Okay, but you want like it should be start with 1, not 0, because you have to print the table. And if you're going to print a table, you're going to start with 1 only, like 3 into 1 is equal to 3, right? You don't want to start with 3 into 0. Of course, that doesn't make any sense. In that case, you have to specify the start value. You have to specify that what would be the start value. It should be 1, not 0. Shouldn't start with 0, because if you're not going to provide that 0, if you're not going to provide this 1, it will start with 0 only. So that doesn't make any sense. We want the table to be start with the 1 only. So we're going to add this value start. The starting value of the I should be 1, not 0. Okay. Then why we have written 11, not 10? Tell me, please. We have already covered. Why we have written 11, not 10 here? Yes, last. It always exclude the last value, upper bound value, right? If we say 11, we want the value to be printed till 10. That's why it will going to exclude like 10. Okay. Yes. And this is a like step. you want by default automatically it will the value of I increment by 1. Yes, in the last program you have seen the value of I increment by 1 only, right? But in case if you have a special requirement, you can increase the value by 2 also, 3 also. You have to mention that. That's why we can say this is start, this is stop, this is step. Means how many step you want to skip. Like if we want I to be increment by 1, then we don't need to provide, but we have given here only. That would be done by default. But if you have a specific requirement, you want the value of like the I should be increased by 2 or 3. For example, if there is a program and you want to print the value, print odd numbers. Okay, you don't want to print the value in sequence. In that case, you need to skip that value. Okay, so in that case, if you want to get the output in the form of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, right? In that case, you are skipping not 1, 2 values, right? In that case, you have to give 2 because you are specifying the step. But by default, automatically, it will take a skip of 1. Okay, that is the main difference. So these are the 3 parameters that you have to be very much aware of. Step, start, stop, step. Okay. Afterwards, now you have this as this is a block. Okay. So you have to enter the value. You have this statement. RES is a like variable. Okay, and they are two way. Simply you can print the result. I have made changes here. Why? Because I want to print it in the form of table, right? For example, you have taken another variable result RES and you have assigned the value tab into I. Okay. Now tab is a number given by the user, right? Just think about the number how the table is represented. 3 into 1, 3. 3 into 2, 6. 3 into 3, like 9. Here you can see the first value, 3, is constant. Okay. And the second value is incrementing 1, 2, 3. And the last column is a result. This is how it's working, right? So in tab contains the number from the user and I contain the I is a variable which will be incremented by 1 every time, right? So you can simply say, if I write this, okay, let me execute this result, okay? Enter a value, 5. It's showing me the result like this, 5, 10, 15, 25 to 50, okay? Why it's happened? Because, we have given, it is incrementing by the 1 and let us understand the code, how it's going to work. Initially, what would be the value inside the I variable? Tell me whether it would be 1 or 0. When the programming will be start, it will hold the value 1 or 0. Please mention in the chat. 1, exactly, 1. Because we have clearly mentioned to start the value, we have given the starting point 1. Okay. Now the initially the value of inside the I would be 1. Okay. Then it will, because it is, under the range only, then it can enter into the block, right? RES is equal to tab into I. Now tab is, suppose I have entered 5. Now inside the tab, the value is 5 and inside the I, the value is 1. Okay. 5 into 1. The result will be stored in a RES variable. Okay. Now, afterwards, it will going to print the value. That is 5 into 1 would be 5. The first value will be printed 5. Okay. Now, the control move back to here and this time the value of I will be incremented. Now I would be 2. This time the value of I will be 2. Again 2, it 2 is within a range only, less than 11. It is allowed to move inside the block. Now again tab is 5. The value of tab is, well, like the fixed. Okay. tab 5. This time the value of I is 2. 5 into 2 is equal to 10. 10 will be stored in RES and it will print the result. That's why in the output you have seen that it's showing 5, 10. The process will be repeated till the value of I extend or equal to 11. For example, because it will not going to extend 11 because when it reach to 11, it will be terminated. The loop will be ended, right? That is why the result was printed. But if you want the result to be printed in such a manner so that it properly show 5 into 1 is equal to 5. So there we have, have a formatted output. You can see I can, sorry, I can comment this. Okay. Now how to show the output in that way? Now you are printing that statement, right? So already you have converted the given value in the form of integer using the int function. Now in order to use that value to represent the result, because not in the form of proper variable, but in the form of presentation, because you just not want to print the value 5, you are giving a formatted output. So we can use this string function, string tab, because what we want to show 5 into asterisk 1, right, is equal to 5. 5 asterisk 2 is equal to 10 and so on, right? So that's why str tab, we are converting back the value of input to like the integer to the string. We are doing typecasting here. This is used for concatenate because last time we have covered about this, the operator that having two way of using. If you use this operator with the number, you will get the calculated result. But if you are using this number with the string, because this time we are converting number to the string value, so it will concatenate. It will, club the both the strings. So concatenate asterisk, we want this sign to be present, then plus string I, right? Because every time I would be calculated, it will move here. This time when the I will move here, it will change it to the string, okay? String I, and then is equal to, we are, using that operator, and then we are just formatting the result, okay? Let's see what happened, whether it will, print or not. Enter a value 5, okay? It's showing me the result, okay? 5 into 1, 5, 5 into 2, 10, 3, 15, okay? Why it's happened? I think this is pretty much clear. Here we have used a formatted output to show the result, to represent the result. Basically, we can get the result here also. But if you want to represent some formatted output, you can use this way. I hope the concept is clear. Yes, you can use comma, but it depends, like, if you simply need to show the result, like, if you need to enter, show the result of the variable, we simply use comma, right? But if we need to concatenate, because we need to concatenate this also. So for that, we can use this plus operator, right? Because we are using symbol also to show the formatted output. So it would be better to use this plus instead of comma. Comma can be used if you need to display the value of the one variable or two variables, simply that the result is comma res. Okay, that would be the perfect. But in case if you are using the formatted output, we can use this. Okay. So basically the point is what I have clarified, because you are also using this operator, right? In that case, it would be better to use this concatenate because that is used for concatenation, right? And here you can see we simply added the result res. Instead of it, I can write here also the result is comma res. It would be okay, but in order to show the formatted output, that would be the perfect way. I hope the concept is clear how to create a table using the for loop, right? Let me show you another program. We have already covered this. Okay, this is a very good program to understand, right? You have to check whether the number is like the how many digit number is it or now. But very critical because this is using the while loop, of course, and of course some concept need to understand. We have to check. We have to get one number from the user. We will going to be check how many digit the number of digit in a particular number. Okay. You can ignore the above line basically if not resonating with this, but let us understand the concept. You have to get one number from the user. At the same time, you have to check the digit, right? Whether how many digit number it is. And very good concept is there. For example, start with very normal like code that you have to get the number from the user. Okay, just declare one variable num, input a number. I think this code is pretty much clear to everyone. This is, we can take it granted also, right? So we can declare one variable count. I have written in the short form CNT is equal to 0. Okay. Now we will going to use while loop, right? While is a keyword and you can see the always keyword come up with some different color in ideally also. So while number is equal to 0, that is a condition before entering into this block, the topmost condition is when while number is greater than 0. You can also differentiate between the for loop and the while loop. In for loop, you are provided with the range. These are the range of value and you have to print it till there. The while loop basically focused with the, like highly focused on the condition, right? You can do this work, but the condition is, right? You can do this work, but the prior condition is. In this way, the programming work, right? But instead in for loop, you are provided with the range that this is a range and you have to work till here. Okay, you have to work till here, then that is my task and I would be sorted, right? This is how the for loop work. Okay, so now, yes, of course, we can say this point when the value is not fixed, but highly focused on the condition. In range, you are given, in for loop, you are given with a fixed range, right? That is, this is something a value, this is something a range or number, you have to go through to it till here, right? That's why I'm saying that, how to use which like loop depending on the requirement. If what is your requirement, what do you want your program to do? If your program requires certain sort of iteration, then what sort of the focus is on the range or focus is on the condition, right? If you have pretty much something fixed in your mind that this is something I want the value to be, printed or I want that work to be done, then you are sorted. You are have to use the for loop. But in case you are not fixed with the condition, but you want the value to be printed, but till certain condition met. You are not like the, okay, you're not sure with the range, but you are sure with the condition. Okay. It's just like that. I'll give you one example. It's just giving assignment to the employee or some employee like you have to work till 10. This is something time limit you are given to the employee, right? Or to the student. You have to do it till 2. And that is for you because you are fixed with the time, 2 p.m. If you're saying you have to do it till then, you will not going to achieve full marks. You have to repeat again and again till then, you will not going to achieve full marks. And that is something, uncertain because that is depending upon the condition. Maybe the child will get the full number in the second test only, or maybe he or she required 2, 3, 4, 5 tests to reach that point. So basically, this is an analogy you can understand when to use for loop, when to use while loop. Both of them require iteration, but you have to figure out the condition, situation where to use any loop. For example, I'm now in here. So here we are using while loop and we are very much clear with the condition. The value of num should be 0. For example, if user entering any value, the topmost condition that the value should be greater than 0. Okay, then only you are allowed to move inside this loop. Now you can see here we have seen if you are allowed to move inside the loop, that means your number is greater than 0. Ultimately, the value of CNT would be increased by 1. CNT is equal to CNT plus 1. This is the assignment operator. We have already covered the shorthand notation, right? That means suppose CNT contains 0. 0 plus 1 is equal to 1, and that 1 would be stored again CNT. Got my point? How it's working, right? Basically, it's showing like, you have CNT is equal to CNT plus 1. Currently, the value of CNT is equal to 0, and 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Now, the same value would be saved in CNT again. Okay. Now, this time, the value of CNT is 1. Okay. Afterwards, it's going to the next statement. Num is equal to num divided by 10. Now, let me clear you that this is a floor division, not integer division, not that simple division, because there are two type of operator, like we have covered in the operator part. Uh, can anyone tell me what is the difference between these two type of operator, slash and slash slash? Because this is like the floor division and that is a division. Can anyone tell me the difference? Can anyone tell me the difference between the two type of operators? These two type of operators? Plot answer with the division operator, and this is floor, not float. Floor division. Floor division, yes, exactly, give you the whole number, right? So the simple slash that we are using for dividing two number will provide you answer in the form of float only. For example, if we have two number 20 divided by 5, and we are using the division operator, it will give you the answer 5.0. Okay, that is a 5.0, because division can be come in any form, right? But if we pretty much sure that we don't want the answer in the form of float, we have to get the answer in the form of floor. I mean the whole number, integer. In that case, you have to use this operator, floor, right? It will round off the value if it is coming in the form like point or decimal only. So using this operator, it will produce, for example, if you have two number 20 divided by 5, it will give you 4. Okay, not 4.0. But if you are using like the division operator, it will give you the value 4.0. So that is the concept that we have used. Why we have used num divide by 0. I must tell you, you can do the calculation side by side also. For example, if the user has entered 1, 2, 3, what would be the answer? What would be the answer save here? Tell me, do calculation side by side only. For example, if the user entered 1, 2, 3, so what would be the answer stored here? Divided by 10, it will give you the quotient in the form of whole number only. Yes, it will give you 12. Okay. Okay, nice. And again, the control come back here. Not this time, the num contain value 12, not 1, 2, 3, 12. 12 is again greater than 0. Okay, it is allowed to enter in this block. The value of count would be increased again. Initially it was 1, now it will become, the value of count would become, tell me, what would be the value? Initially it was 1, now the value of count would be updated to 2. Okay. Now num is equal to num divided by 10. What would be the answer? What would be the answer? 12 divided by 10. What would be the answer? Yes, 1. Okay. Now the control will move back to num. 1. This time the value of num is 1. 1 is still greater than 0. You can again enter to this block. Okay. Now the value of CNT will become, initially it was 2. In last iteration, the value of CNT was 2. Now, yes, the value of CNT become 3. But you cannot proceed with further, because the further condition will do the like operation, and it will finally change evaluate to the false. So when the condition terminated, what was the final value? What was the final value of CNT? What was the final value of CNT? 3. and we have printed 3 because number of digits are 3. 1, 2, 3. We have given 1, 2, 3, right? And the logic is there to count the value. How the using this counter, we counted the value, right? Every time the loop is when the number is allowed to enter in the loop for doing operation or perform action, the value of CNT got incremented by 1. So eventually, when the operation got terminated, right, the last value of CNT was calculated 3, and that is our answer. You have to check whether the what is the number of digit of the particular number given by the user. If you enter 1, 2, 3, 4, it will count it till 4. If you provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will be counted till 5. So here we have covered two things. We have covered the use of while loop, as well as we have learned or understand some logic, right? So I think the things are pretty much clear, and we have covered the time also. Any queries and any question if you're having, because I think pretty much queries has been resolved in the chat box only. So I hope the concept is clear with you, and we have covered the basic fundamental programming of the Python. Like we have covered basic of Python, we have covered conditional control statement, and we have covered like looping statement. I'm also like sharing my like ID with all of you. Like in case if you have any problem, any doubt, you can directly connect with us, and any requirement if you have. Okay, so I can revert you in that only. For any further information, we'll connect with you definitely. Now, if you have any like, can you have one? Say this is a final session, and we'll look for it. Like, we'll see to it what could be done. And in case if you have any problem, any requirement, you can directly send me to this mail ID. And okay, yeah, Karishma, are you there? Please share the attendance link.
Yeah, sharing.
Please share the attendance link and the feedback from whatever the resources we have so far. Yeah, definitely you will get the certificate. Just you need to fill up the attendance link that will be shared shortly. The attendance link has been shared. You can just copy and paste that link, and make sure to fill it completely. You will get your certificates. And for any query and doubts, I have already shared my mail ID in the chat box. You can simply forward me any queries, and we'll try to in upcoming time we'll be coming with more of session. But as of now, this is the last session. So shall we wind up? Or in case you have to share some like feedbacks or any other thing you like, you have, I must say you must go through the entire things, and I'm pretty much sure that would be easy for you. Come up with or try some different programs, right? And so apply some different logic, use different scenario, come up with some real life programming, think about the scenario, like where to use for loop, where to use while loop, where to use if, where to use if else, where to use is if else if, right? There's a different situation. So you can, and once you are very much clear with this for loop and while loop, you can easily do with the list and the tuple, because something we need to understand how to iterate the items in the list or tuple, right? So basically, if you well versed with the looping statement, looping concept, this would be very beneficial for you. So let us find up the session, and I hope you have copy and paste the link, everyone. Thank you, everyone. We are going to winding up the session, okay? Thank you so much.